This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Ladies and gentlemen, I sit here today, a very disgusted and nauseated individual. Now, be very, very clear. I'm incredibly excited by what we're seeing from the NBA playoffs. I'm incredibly excited. I might be just as excited, if not more so, than Commissioner Adam Silver, because I am fresh off a year of flat-out depression. Last year, when Kevin Durant decided to take his talents to the Bay Area for the Golden State Warriors, thereby dramatically shifting the balance of power in the NBA, there was really no competition. As you looked at the Golden State Warriors, there was nobody else worth talking about. Oklahoma City wasn't going to be on their level because they didn't have KD any longer. Houston wasn't ready yet. They didn't have Chris Paul. And no matter where we turned, or no matter what we looked around, the reality of the situation was clear. The balance of power had so dramatically shifted that even LeBron James, fresh off of winning another Eastern Conference crown, when asked about looking forward to going against the Golden State Warriors, his quote in Boston was, "I really don't want to think about that right now. It's just too stressful. I just want to enjoy this moment. It's just too stressful imagining what we're going to have to do to go up against Golden State, figuring out a way on how to beat them." He didn't even want to think about it. That is not the case this year. This year, when you look at the Eastern Conference, it's Cleveland, it's Indiana, it's Toronto, it's Philadelphia, it's Miami. Well, at least it's Miami for now. When you look at it, there's some parity within the Eastern Conference. And we all know out west, because Golden State looks like they'll get hurt by a piece of paper, for crying out loud. They're so damn fragile. Kevin Durant goes down last night. Sean Livingston goes down last night. Sean Livingston might be a little worse than Kevin Durant, who says he'll be ready for Game 4. The bottom line is, right now, it looks like a piece of paper can scratch the Golden State Warriors, and they might be gone for the rest of the series. That's how really fragile they look at this particular moment in time, which elevates Houston, which elevates the New Orleans Pelicans, with Anthony Davis and those boys looking like straight Rough Riders, running the Portland Trail Blazers, and yes, Damian Lillard out the building. I mean, the annihilation that has taken place before our very eyes is absolutely flat out stunning. I never saw this coming. And we'll get into Dame, as in Damian Lillard, and what the Portland Trail Blazers are lacking, and how shocking this is and should be to the rest of us in just a few moments. But let me get back to my original point. All of those things are things to be excited about. Here's the thing to be disgusted about. The process. We love the process. Trust the process. In Philadelphia, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell y'all something right now. I really, look. I work for Walt Disney. It's Mickey Mouse. It's a happy place. I sincerely, from the bottom of my soul, I really don't want to get in trouble because I cuss somebody out. I really don't want to do it. Yes, I'm not trying to cuss over the airwaves, but I curse off the airwaves. I'm here to tell you that right now. Sorry, Pastor A.R. Bernard from Christian Cultural Center in Brooklyn, New York. That's my spiritual father. I'm sorry I had to admit over the airwaves. John, don't look at me like that. You curse too, okay? I'm really apologizing for cursing off the air, but it's the truth. I do. I've come a long way, but I got a long way to go. Having said all of that, this whole trust the process thing has gotten on my last nerves. I despise the process, and I despise everybody that applauds the process to the nth degree. Y'all don't understand what this does to me. That's really why I've hesitated to go to a Philadelphia 76ers game, because people see me and then they start in the stands, trust the process, and I want to throw stuff at people. It makes me sick. It really ticks me off. Ladies and gentlemen, let me get real knee deep up in it with you. First things first, there ain't a black man alive that could throw seasons in the world of professional sports and still keep his job. And a black man alive that could happen for. So number one, by bringing it up and celebrating it, you're highlighting the flagrant inequities that exist in our system. because we understand that there are rules for different folks, just like there are different strokes for different folks. And we understand that. So that's a gimme. That's an automatic for me. But I'll get into just the basketball element instead of the social element. I'll do that for y'all right now. Let me tell you where it really resonates for me. Are you ready for this? When you drafted Joel Embiid, first of all, you traded Drew Holiday. Remember when you traded Drew Holiday? Remember that dude that's running roughshod over Portland right now? Maybe you traded Drew Holiday. You traded him for a player in a first-round pick. Nerlens Noel in a first-round pick. How did that pan out? Nerlens Noel is a role player. He's a journeyman. And Michael Carter-Williams was a first-round pick that ended up being a rookie of the year, and you traded him. Okay, in 2014, you drafted Joel Embiid, but you stunk up the joint to position yourself. Joel Embiid wasn't your target. You got the third pick. He fell in your lap because he had injuries to his foot. And nobody wanted to spend the number 1 pick or the number 2 pick on him, which is why Minnesota drafted, or Cleveland drafted, Andrew Wiggins before moving him to Minnesota. And Milwaukee got Jabari Parker, who's been perpetually injured as well. So you lucked up with that. That didn't have, the process wasn't going to necessarily help you there. Joel Embiid's injury is actually what helped you. So you got that going on. You stink up the joint. You win about 18 games. Okay? 2015 rolls around. You draft Jahlil Okafor. We all know how that worked out. 2016 rolls around. Okay? You finally get the number 1 overall pick. You got Ben Simmons, who couldn't play a full year, his rookie year. Let me tell y'all something. There are seasons that have been sacrificed in all of this. There are seasons that have been thrown to the wolves. There are seasons. This ain't some situation where, you know what, somebody plays for 60, 65 games in a season, but we ain't going anywhere. So guess what? The last 17 games don't matter, and we'll go from there. This is not that kind of season. The Philadelphia 76ers, in terms of their bogus trust the process, was throwing seasons. And so what happened? You got rid of Sam Hinkie. And I'm not blaming him because he had his marching orders from ownership, even though he was the one that sold it to them with his analytics and sabermetrics and all of this other stuff. And sabermetrics wants to sit up here and brag about how when Joel Embiid is on the floor, the 76ers are a 68-win team. But if you don't think other teams knew that? They could have drafted him too, but he was injured. And they weren't willing to stink up the joint for a season or 2 or 3. He missed his first 2 damn seasons. He didn't play a game. Last year he played 30. This essentially is Joel Embiid's 4th season. Am I right, Nuno? This essentially is his 4th season. How many people have a license to lose like that on purpose? See, what y'all don't get in all of this, what rakes my nerve, and this is important, because we got Magic and Pelinka in L.A. We got Steve Mills and Scott Perry in New York. We got Paxson and Gar Forman in Chicago. I mentioned the 3 largest markets in the United States of America because between them they got 5 NBA teams and not a single damn one of them are in the playoffs. You want to make a case for this? I'll tell you the case to make for this on behalf of the 76ers against somebody like the New York Knicks. It gives you cause to pause and say, damn, James Dolan, you stunk up the joint and don't even have anything to show for it. At least Philadelphia has something to show for it. You can say that. But I still don't applaud this. And I think it's a damn shame that y'all applaud it. This is embarrassing. You can sit up there and talk about trust the process all you want to. It's a national disgrace. It's anti-American. It's counterproductive and counterintuitive to everything that this great nation prides itself on when it comes to the world of sports. You all who love and trust the process should be ashamed of your damn selves. Y'all make me sick. Every one of yous. Every one of yous. Trust the process. Trust the process. And they start chanting it when I'm at the arena at the Wells Fargo Center. I swear I want to pick up something and throw it at every fan who screams that. So y'all make me sick. I can take it. And I'll listen to it. And I won't visibly react to it because I'm a damn professional. And I'm there on behalf of ESPN. And what I do in terms of how I behave myself and how I conduct myself is a reflection on this great company. So I won't do it. But oh, trust you me, I'm tempted. Trust you me, I'm very tempted. I wish I could throw cans of beer at all of you or bottles of water at all of you. Every single one of you who screams about trust in the process, trust the process. You're through seasons. Where's your pride? Where's your dignity? You're through seasons. You stunk up the joint and lost on purpose and still took the paying customers' money. I go to the streets of Philadelphia for 3 seasons. It looked like a damn morgue during the basketball season. But now y'all want to sit up here and act like, oh, you know what? We knew, we were good with it, you liars. You flat out two-faced liars. That's what you are. You know you didn't like it. You know you hated it, and I know it because I was there. Don't give me that nonsense. Now, here's the kind of stuff that really gets to me. You know, listen, if you follow the Philadelphia 76ers strategy, how come Isaiah Thomas isn't still the executive of the New York Knicks? Why don't you just bring him back? Tell him he could lose on purpose for 4 years. He could do that. He could do that. While you're at it, why don't you get Derek Fisher back at the coach? You ain't trying to win games anyway, right? Supposedly, right? Right? Ain't that the truth? Y'all are so full of it. Make me sick. It's just a bunch of lies. I even got people here in Connecticut at ESPN headquarters, don't know a damn thing about Philly, ain't never been to Philly, don't care anything about Philly, talking nonsense, trust the process. They make me sick too, and I work with them. All of yous. Every single one of you. This is a national disgrace. I'm not talking about the players. I have no problem with Joel Embiid. He balled last night. And I told y'all he needed to be back in that lineup. Remember that? I told y'all that. I said, get him back in the lineup, damn it. Put a mask on him and call it a day. What the hell is wrong with y'all? And by the way, Justice Winslow, that was real Bush League for stepping on his mask like that. I mean, you better than that, bro. That's just weak. Shouldn't have done that. But Joel Embiid sits up there, his first playoff game, 23-7 with 4 blocks. That was sensational. Hitting threes, scoring in the lane, blocking shots. It was special to watch. It really, really was. But I'll tell you, having said all of that, there's no question that Ben Simmons is more important to this team than Joel Embiid. Because Ben Simmons, when the Sixers can shoot, who's the guy handling the ball and getting them the ball? This dude is an exceptional ball handler and an exceptional passer at 6'10". This dude, Ben Simmons, is a superstar in the making. He is a jump shot away from being the second coming of LeBron James. His first road playoff game, 19-12-7. This dude is special. Make no mistake. And I got news for you. And I'll go out on a limb and I'll say this. Are y'all ready for this? Are y'all ready for this? Nuno, John, you sitting down for this? I'm not saying it's gonna happen. Here's what I'm saying if it does happen. If Marco Bellinelli, J.J. Redick, Covington, Saric, Anderson, if these guys hit jump shots like they hit last night, the Philadelphia 76ers will win the NBA championship. Yeah, I said it. If they hit jump shots like that, the Philadelphia 76ers will win the title. I don't believe they'll do it. I don't believe they'll hit jump shots with that degree of consistency. That's why I'm not picking them. I still say the champion is coming out of the West, whether it be Golden State or Houston. And right now, I've lost faith in Golden State because they're just too fragile. I think another injury is imminent. But I'm telling you right now, if Philadelphia plays the way they played last night, I'm talking about in terms of their perimeter shooting, Philadelphia's going to win a title. You know why, ladies and gentlemen? Because the Philadelphia 76ers can defend. They've got an elite big man. They've got an elite point guard. They've got youth. They've got athleticism. And on top of it all, they defend. At any given moment, if you take J.J. Redick off the court, the 76ers, everybody they put on the floor is 6'6" and above. And they defend. And they defend. Philadelphia 76ers can win the title. Right now, it looks like the only team that can stop them is out west, Houston or Golden State. It doesn't look like, I'm not sold that. I would pick the Sixers over Toronto. I wouldn't pick the Sixers over LeBron, and I think LeBron is going to beat Toronto. It's assuming Kevin Love is healthy, which he's not right now, but he gets healthy. But that's where I'm at with this. And I'm telling you right now, y'all heard it here first. The Philadelphia 76ers could end up winning the title if they hit jump shots. But for those of you who talk about trust the process, let's keep this in mind. Hinkie was pushed out. The commissioner intervened. Ultimately, Josh Harrison ownership there brought the great Jerry Colangelo on board. He ultimately brought his son, experienced executive Brian Colangelo, on board. And even though we've had some issues with what Brian Colangelo has done from time to time, it was him that went out and got Bellinelli. It was under his watch that those kind of things happened. So you got Bellinelli and you got Saric and you've got Covington and you've got Redick. He did bring Redick. It was him that gave Redick a 1-year deal for $23 million. That was him. So you understand what I'm saying? Brian Colangelo isn't a part of trust the process because he wasn't throwing games on purpose for years. That wasn't Brian Colangelo. That was not him. That wasn't Jerry Colangelo either. That was not him. That's what I'm saying. This whole process, when you talk about trust the process, y'all are celebrating throwing seasons. You should be ashamed of your damn selves. Ashamed. What you did to the city of Philadelphia for 3 years. Y'all could kiss my you-know-what. Kick rocks. Y'all make me sick. Who can do that? Can I ask you a question, Nuno, John? Does John Paxson and Gar Forman have a license to go to Chicago and lose? Hey, Chicago's. We're going to lose for the next 3-4 years. Do we have a license to do that? They have a license to do that? How about the New York Knicks? New York Knicks come to you today. All right, I need you to trust the process. We're going to lose for 3 straight years, straight, on purpose. You ain't even trying to win games. We're going to make sure we purge the roster and we do everything we can to get in the way of winning basketball games. Can the New York Knicks do that? The Brooklyn Nets are irrelevant to folks outside of Brooklyn. They can't do that. Can the Clippers do that? Can the Lakers do that? Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka, we trying to lose for the next 3 years because, I take it back. They don't even have to try. How about 1 year? How about Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka coming out to Los Angeles right now? Look, y'all, we ain't trying to win on purpose. We want to lose on purpose next year because we're going to stink up the joint because it's going to put us in position to get a high draft pick, not to mention the cap space that we got, and we'll give y'all 2019 and beyond. But this upcoming season, the 2018, 2019 season, y'all, we going to lose on purpose. Can they get away with that? But the Philadelphia 76ers can. That's what they did. You should be ashamed of yourselves. All of you out there talking about trusting the process. You're an embarrassment and a disgrace to competition in the world of professional sports in this great country of ours. You are a national disgrace. Anybody who endorses the process. Y'all can kiss my you-know-what. I can't stand y'all. Trust the process. Trust the process. Almost no other team could get away with doing that. And certainly no black man could get away with being an executive and losing on purpose. But y'all want to celebrate the process, huh? Y'all are a disgrace. Anybody who chants that nonsense is an absolute disgrace. And I will never let it go. I will never let go of the fact that you won a combined 28 games in 2 years. And then you won 28 the third year. I will never let go of that. And the only reason you won the 28 the third year is because Joel Embiid played some games. And that was after Colangelo arrived because the commissioner spoke up and forced y'all to make change. Josh Harris damn near almost lost ownership because of that. Y'all make me sick. And I want you to know it.
Everyone in the neighborhood knew about Bobby. Bobby, the basketball boy, they called him. Bobby wanted to go pro someday, so he was always out in the driveway shooting hoops. But one day, his mom came out and told him,
"Hey, your wife wants you to take out the trash."
His mom was visiting, and Bobby was a grown man. He had kind of missed his window. Plus, no one had ever seen him actually make a basket. But on the other hand, Bobby had heard how Geico could save him money on car insurance, so he switched and saved. So it was all good.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Before I get to the calls, let me tell y'all something. I am absolutely stunned at what I'm witnessing in this New Orleans Pelicans Portland Trail Blazers series. Listen, we must have forgot. We're all guilty of it to some degree. When you look at Rondo, and remember, this is the guy that was on the Chicago Bulls. Last year when he went down, the Chicago Bulls were actually winning that series until Rondo went down. Once he went down, series was over because they lost their point guard. He's a champion with the Boston Celtics from 2008. There's a guy that gets it done, particularly when the pressure mounts. He doesn't wilt beneath it, and we get all of that. But for him to still keep doing what he's doing, it's a big, big deal. Jrue Holiday has arrived. He's not flashy. He's just a guy going up against a star, in my opinion, in Damian Lillard. That it's just hard to imagine what he's done. Damian Lillard isn't even shooting 33% in this series. He has been put on lock and key by Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday is bigger. He is stronger. He plays above the rim better. He's just as fast. And Damian Lillard, a star, Mr. Clutch as far as I'm concerned, seems ill-equipped to do anything about this. CJ McCollum did his thing last night. He had 22 points. He didn't play bad, but Damian Lillard is just, this guy's all over him. It's just a really, really bad look. There is no way around this. There truly isn't. And I got to tell you something right now. Portland Trailblazers is going to get swept. Series ain't going back to Portland. I can't see it. They had a shot last night. Ladies and gentlemen, they didn't lose. They got annihilated. This game wasn't as close as the score indicated. They got destroyed. Anthony Davis doing his thing. Mirotic's doing his thing. Jrue Holiday was relatively pedestrian. Both him and Rondo had 16 points, even though Rondo had 11 assists to go with it. But they've galvanized everybody. I'm not thinking about the Pelicans against the Blazers in this series anymore. There are two things on my mind. One, the shocking, stunning display of Damian Lillard, how he's been held in check. Because I love his game. And I'm shocked by what has been done to him. The other thing I'm thinking about is New Orleans is going to be hell for the Golden State Warriors to deal with in the next go-round. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like competition, how about this? Anthony Davis, the superstar that is Anthony Davis, because he is a superstar, make no mistake about it. The superstar that is Anthony Davis against Kevin Durant. How about Jrue Holiday versus Klay Thompson? Ladies and gentlemen, it's about to get interesting. Very, very interesting. There's no way around this. I got to tell you that. There is no way around this. It is what it is. And I'm looking at it right now. And I'm saying to myself, you know what? This is special. It really, really is. We shall see what happens. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Chris in Virginia. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, Stephen A. Man, hey, I love you, man. I don't always agree with you, but, I love listening to your show.
Thank you.
But you got me concerned, man. You really got me concerned.
Go ahead.
I've been a Sixers fan since faux.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most painful experiences of my life was the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
But Stephen A., we're hearing about this, constantly. It's like an obsession with you,
Oh, no. Not me. The fans. Everywhere you go, Trust the process. Trust the process. That's not me. Everywhere I go, I encounter it. That's not me bringing it up, Chris. Everywhere I go, these people are getting on my last nerves.
Well, Stephen A., you know Philadelphia.
No, I'm not talking about.
Keep on going. Every time they see you, they're going to keep on bringing it up and hammering it home. So talk about it some more. Let's just let it go.
Listen, Chris, don't call me up for that. I'll do what I want to do. It's my radio show. If they get on my nerves, it's no problem. I can handle it. Let them keep coming at me. That's fine. As long as they know how I feel. It'll give me an opportunity to remind them every time about how ridiculous and pathetic they truly are. That's what I do. You ain't Dr. Phil. Your name is Chris. Stick to what you know.
I'm sorry?
Stick to what you know. You do you, I'll do me. That's how I feel, and I'm in the business. I get paid to express myself. So let's remember that.
You do, and you're great at it, buddy. You really are. Love you. Love you.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Mike in Denver, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm good.
Just want to chime in on these playoffs. Like you say, man, they're getting real interesting. That New Orleans series, man, got all us in shock. I never thought that they'd sweep Portland like they're doing, but like you said, the big thing ain't nobody looking at is that guard play from Rondo and Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday is just smothering Damian Lillard, man. And like you say, with the interview Damian Lillard gave last night, he just said, hey, man, he just can't believe what's going on. You know,
I didn't even see the post-game interview by Damian Lillard, but I can't imagine what he would have to say. They got destroyed. The New Orleans won this game 119-102. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, I watched the game from start to finish. It was not that close. It was not that close. They got destroyed last night. New Orleans was giving them the business. Mirotic dropped 30. Anthony Davis had 28 and 11. 28 rather. And 11. Yes, 28 and 11. Mirotic looked like an all-star. Looked like the second coming of Dirk Nowitzki or something. I don't know what the hell was going on. This was embarrassing. They got destroyed. 4 players in double figures. And I felt sorry. CJ McCollum came to play. He really did. And Al-Farouq Aminu, he's not bad. He's not bad. But they got walloped. I felt bad for Terry Stotts. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not coaching. This is not coaching. Now, usually, listen, when I look at Oklahoma City, Mike, and I'll tell you this, when I look at Oklahoma City, there are some things I'm saying to myself. I really like Billy Donovan, 2-time national champion, not trying to disrespect him, but some of it is coaching. This is not coaching on the part of Terry Stotts, y'all. This is Drew Holiday and Rondo saying the engine for Portland is their backcourt. You go as they go. And if we can neutralize Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, we're good. And ladies and gentlemen, Drew Holiday has put handcuffs on Damian Lillard. I am stunned, Mike. I am stunned.
I'm stunned, too. And you know I'm a Golden State fan. It's getting me worried now because we're going to need Steph Curry, man. Way they playing, we're going to need Steph Curry, man.
I will go as far as to say this. Ladies and gentlemen, once upon a time, I actually thought that even without Steph Curry, Golden State could win it, even if it was against Houston. I don't feel that way no more. They need Steph Curry. The Golden State Warriors cannot win and will not repeat as champions without Steph Curry. They need to get him back. Plain and simple. And by the way, sooner than later, this notion, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say, I can't believe I'm saying this. I cannot believe I'm saying this. I'm not sure they could beat New Orleans without Steph Curry. Because the way I'm seeing New Orleans play and the matchups themselves, Drew Holiday and Klay Thompson can get interesting. Anthony Davis against Kevin Durant. Lord, what I love about this, though, boy, does it put Kevin Durant in the hot seat. And I'm not saying he can't handle it because he's a superstar. What I'm saying is this is what basketball is all about, y'all. This is what basketball is all about. You want superstars going up against one another. This is what it comes down to. And I just love what I'm seeing.
season over with, but New Orleans and Golden State played 2 games before the season ended last night, and that was a key game for New Orleans, and they went up in Golden State and put hands on Golden State, man.
We'll see? Well, no, that's regular season, though. This is a different ball game. We'll see what happens. But things are getting very interesting. No question about it. By the way, the Stephen A. Smith Show is brought to you by Vivid Seats, the official ticket partner of ESPN. Download the free Vivid Seats app today to get your tickets. Appreciate the call, Mike. Thank you so much. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. More of your calls on the NBA playoffs in a minute. Stick around. It's the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
Hour number 2, we'll have former head coach, basketball analyst extraordinaire, presently for the family, the one and only PJ Carlesimo. He will be on the show with us. Looking forward to talking to him about a slew of NBA games. He'll be calling one of these games tonight. No question about that. We'll be talking to him. Looking forward to that conversation as well. Let's go back to the phones at 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Ron in Queens, talk to me. What's up?
Stephen A., what's happening?
I'm good. Go ahead.
Listen, Philadelphia is legit. They built that team perfectly, surrounding Simmons with shooters. But they're not beating Houston or Golden State 4 times. What makes you say that they could do that, even if they're knocking down shots?
Houston?
Yeah, Houston.
I think the Golden State. I think the Golden State Warriors need Steph.
Okay.
I don't think they could beat Houston without Steph Curry.
I think without Steph, I think Houston's getting to the finals too. But I just don't see it with Philadelphia this year right now.
Well, neither do I. But what I said was, my specific comment was, I didn't say the Sixers were going to the finals. I said if they shoot like they shot last night, they're going to the finals. In other words, they defend. They have a big. They have a 6'10" point guard. All they need is to be able to hit perimeter shots. If they do that, nobody's beating them in the East. Nobody.
And one more question about New Orleans.
Go ahead.
People forget that Boogie's hurt right now. Are they better off without him? Are they better off moving him in the offseason? Because the way they're playing, he just takes away touches from Davis and the guards.
I stop right there. I'm with you. I am of the mindset that New Orleans is better off without Boogie Cousins. I'm not taking anything away from Boogie Cousins. I know he can ball, but the offense usually goes through him because he's your big man. He can step away from the basket and hit shots, or he can score in the post. There is no doubt about that. He's an all-star big man. Absolutely true. But I watch the speed that New Orleans plays without him. I'm looking how they're thriving right now. And maybe it's because they're against Portland, but I'm of the mindset that Portland was a hell of a lot better than I thought they were right now. Maybe they're being made to look bad by the Pelicans. Here's what it comes down to. I look at the Pelicans. They look faster, more athletic, and Anthony Davis looks better without Boogie than he does with him. So I'm of that mindset. But you could get a lot of value for Boogie Cousins. And that's something that you got to entertain if you're the New Orleans Pelicans. If you're Demps and Gentry is just doing an outstanding job coaching his team, he deserves a lot of credit. He really, really does.
How about the Knicks trade Frank and their first-round pick this year? Maybe someone else for Boogie.
If you were another team, would you take Ntilikina?
Absolutely not, but
Thank
clearly
you.
Got the potential as an 18-year-old kid with length.
He's length. He's got length. He can defend. But I don't see him being that dude offensively, and that's my problem with Ntilikina. And Boogie's a free agent this summer, so you don't have to give up anybody for him. You can actually get him on your own. But that's something to think about a little bit later on. Let's go to Danny in L.A. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Danny.
Hey, Stephen. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Talk to me.
All right, so real quickly, lifelong Laker fan, and putting it on the record, I don't want LeBron to come here. I don't want the drama. And I think he's actually going to go to Houston if they can't get the deal done this year because of all of his boys.
Let me tell you what I think. Let me tell you what I think you're wrong about. I think that you're wrong to say you don't want LeBron. If I'm Philly, I don't want LeBron. If I'm Boston, I don't want LeBron because I don't need him. But L.A. needs him.
Maybe so, but this is the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, we need to build within. We need to go get Kawhi. We need to maybe get Clay instead of Paul George.
Hold on. You contradicted yourself. You said you need to build within, and then you mentioned Kawhi. Well, if you're going to mention Kawhi, why can't you mention LeBron?
Keep the young guys and then go get him. I mean, LeBron will be 34. He's probably got 3, 4 4 years left. I just think it would be a cheap championship for the Los Angeles Lakers if they had to bring LeBron James in to win it. That's my point.
Well, there's no such thing as a cheap championship. That's number one. Kevin Durant proved that because he won last year in the NBA Finals MVP, and nobody thinks it's a cheap championship. And he went to a team that was 73-9 before he got there. So let's understand that. That's number one. Number two, the Lakers have been so bad for so long under the Jim Buss era. I would caution you that beggars can't be choosy, and that's what you need to remember. I got to get on out of here, Danny, but think about that. By the way, the NBA playoffs are on ESPN Radio. Tune in tonight at 6:30 as LeBron and the Cavs visit the Pacers, and tomorrow at 7 as Harden and the Rockets visit Jimmy Butler and the Timberwolves, presented by Barbasol Razors. Hour number 2 up next. We'll get into more NBA talk. Dez Bryant was on Instagram showing he's working out with Odell Beckham Jr. What does that mean for the New York Giants? And, of course, PJ Carlesimo is up next. Hour number 2 with Stephen A. coming at you.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. It's my honor and privilege to have my next guest on the line. My colleague here at ESPN does an outstanding job calling games for us on ESPN radio and television. Sometimes the guy is absolutely exceptional. He's former head coach, former assistant coach with the champion Spurs. And, of course, he does great work for us, like I said, right here at ESPN. The one and only PJ Carlesimo is on the line with yours truly right now. What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Not much, Stephen. How you been, brother? I haven't seen you in a while.
Man, please, I've been running around just like you've been running around. What game are you calling tonight?
I've got Toronto at Washington, Game 3 on ESPN2.
Okay. All right. Listen, you know what? I'll get to Washington in just a few minutes because I don't understand what the hell is going on with them. I really, really don't. But first things first, I'm at a point right now, PJ, where I watched Embiid and the Sixers perform last night, and I'm willing to go as far as to say this. If they continue to hit perimeter shots like I saw them hit last night, they're coming out of the East. What does PJ Carlesimo say to that, considering all the basketball that you've seen this year?
I'm prejudiced. I'd love to see it. You know very well, Brett Brown and I worked together for 5 years in San Antonio. I think I've known him since he was a junior in high school and played against us when he was at BU. I'd love to see it for him because talk about staying the process there, going through all those losses and bringing along this young team. I would love to see it. My heart says to agree with you, but history tells you they're too young, Stephen. They're not playing like they're too young, but history tells you these guys are too young. They shouldn't be able to do this in the playoffs, and I think that you talk about not being able to figure out Washington. Boston, I can't figure out. I keep trying to kick dirt on them, and every time you do it, they just play better. Can they get by Boston and Toronto or Cleveland, whoever it is? I would like to see it. I'll be very surprised if it happens. I'm thinking they're at least a year away, but the way they're playing now, they're still the hottest team. What have they won? 18 out of 19 or something like that.
17 in a row, and now 18 out of 19.
Against them, but in my heart, I'm not sure that they have enough experience to do it.
PJ Carlesimo right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Is it a product of what you're seeing from the Sixers or more so of what you see Miami does not have?
I think it's more what Miami does not have. I genuinely think Philadelphia is a better team, particularly offensively. Eric Spoelstra does such a good job, and they're so good at taking you out of things and getting you to play the way they want to play. But particularly now with Joel back, I think they didn't make him look bad, but they did a really good job slowing him down in Game 2. But now you bring Embiid. They were good enough without Embiid. Half of those wins, I think, or at least 8 of them, were with Joel on the sideline. Mm-hmm. But without the inside game and what he means to them defensively, you say, well, we got a chance to slow him down. He comes back, and what do you take away from him? They can beat you about 7 different ways. So it's really impressive to see the way that team is playing on both ends of the floor.
How do you define what a big man is in today's NBA game?
I don't think you can, but I tell you, I love the ones like Embiid who can do both, who can impact the game on both ends. I still think that's the best definition of a big. Tim Duncan to me was one of the best all time. He never wanted to be called a center. He was a power forward. But, he changed the game on both ends of the floor because he could score inside, because he was a great passer, because he could get shots for his teammates, playing inside out. He couldn't shoot threes. He never learned that. I think if he came up in today's game, he could have gone to that. But then on the other end of the floor, he protected the basket. He could, defend pick and rolls. He obviously blocked shots, and he was a great defensive rebounder. Some of the bigs we have in the game now are really good, really talented, and I love them, but they don't change the game on both ends of the floor. Embiid does, and to me, that's the ultimate compliment you pay to a big man now, and he makes threes on top of that, which is incredible.
PJ Carlesimo right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. You brought up the Boston Celtics. Listen, I think I'm not that surprised. Jaylen Brown is special, and I think he's putting the world on notice. He talked to me last summer. He said, Stephen A., we coming. We coming this year. But then Gordon Hayward went down and Kyrie went down. And I found myself saying he was right, because if Gordon Hayward and Kyrie were healthy, could you imagine how good this team would be, particularly with Brad Stevens as its coach? What do you have to say about Boston? What is it that makes them so good now, even with Kyrie and Gordon Hayward out?
Well, you named the first reason. The first reason is Jaylen. There's no question about that. Horford doesn't get enough credit because he's kind of under the radar guy. Is he the number one player on your team? No. But it's amazing how he can adapt to a role and do what he needs to do. When he needs to step it up, he's capable of doing that. Jason Tatum is obviously an incredibly special rookie. Terry Rozier, given the opportunity, especially not just when Gordon went down, but especially when Kyrie went down. I mean, he's playing like a starter, a primetime player. But Jaylen's the one I missed big time on, Stephen. When I saw him at Cal, I liked him. I was surprised he came out when he did. I'm saying, why is he coming out so early? He's 5 times better than I realized he was when I saw him at Cal.
What's wrong with Milwaukee? Is it just Boston, or is it the fact that they're not getting production from anybody other than the Greek Freak and Middleton, with Eric Bledsoe pretending he doesn't know who Terry Rozier is? No, he's the guy that's giving it to you. That's who the hell he is. What's up with Milwaukee?
I didn't understand that. That was bizarre. The way Jabari Parker's playing is bizarre to me. Also, I think it's more Boston. There's no question about that. Boston is still a lot better team than I think a lot of us gave them credit for being right now. I'm anxious to see whether Milwaukee's going to step up coming home. A lot of teams, particularly teams with some young players or young playoff experienced players like they have, hopefully will play a lot better at home. But I mean, it looks like the first 2 games, it looked like a mismatch. I know, it was close, but I'm saying it looked like Boston is the better team. What's everybody talking about? Why is Giannis supposed to lead this team? You watch the game and you say, what are you talking about? Boston's a better team. I didn't think it was going to be that way when the series began.
PJ Carlesimo right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Let's get to the series that you're covering tonight. I mean, you got Toronto and Washington. Listen, Toronto clearly is the class of the Eastern Conference in terms of how they've played throughout the year. I still believe that LeBron James is their kryptonite, but that doesn't mean I negate to recall how consistent they've been throughout this year. The Washington Wizards, to me, is an entirely different matter altogether. Bradley Beal in the fourth quarter, I just don't understand it. And I just think that it's gotten to a point where both he and John Wall can't coexist. If they lose, and I expect them to lose this series, hopefully they won't get swept, but we don't know. Ernie Grunfeld to me is going to have to make a move and get rid of one of them. What are your thoughts about that, PJ?
Well, I think if it happens, particularly if they get swept, very tough decision, because they're the worst thing you can be, I think, if you're a GM or a president in our league, Stephen. They're close. They're close to being a really good team. So, what you're scared to break it up, but what do? What's the move you can make? What can you give away that you can get value? Not give away, but what can you move that you can get value back for? So I look at that. Bradley had such an excellent year. Now, admittedly, 41 games playing without John Wall, so Bradley can be a different type of player in those 41 games. I expect him to bounce back and for them to play really well in these 2 games here in Washington. But whether they can get Toronto in a series, I don't know. I just think Toronto is I think I agree with you. I think they're the best team in the East. They're so much improved offensively. They shoot so many threes now. They play at so much quicker pace. They really enjoy themselves on offense. And that bench group, they call them the bench mob, those guys are really productive. They do a really good job in the game. So I think Washington's got their work cut out for them. But I do think Bradley was okay in game one. He didn't get enough shots, but I thought he played okay. He struggled in game two. And I mean, he had an all-star year. I expect him to really step up, but I watched them. I didn't do them a lot in the regular season. I can't figure this group out because you look at the group, Scotty Brooks, to me, is not a good coach. He's an excellent coach. I think they've got a lot of pieces, and you want him to be better. The fact they finished 8th, I think most of that was due to John Wall missing 41 games.
I got that, PJ, but here's my thing. Listen, I like Scott Brooks a lot, but the word excellent doesn't come to mind when I think about him because I don't see enough adjustments. I remember Game 7 against the Boston Celtics in the first round, second round last year, and Kelly Oubre plays 1 minute. I had a problem with that. I'm looking at maybe it's because of his lack of personnel. There's but so much he can do, but it's the same old Wizards. Unless Otto Porter or Kelly Oubre step up, there's but so much they can do. Maybe that's what it is.
No, and I hear you, and not to just jump on them. Kelly Oubre was invisible in game 1, played much better in game 2 in Toronto. Otto Porter's been really quiet because I thought from watching them mainly from afar, but in person twice, that he had gotten to the next level as a player. He has not played at that level in games 1 and 2. I mean, Otto Porter was like, a notch below these other guys saying, wow, he's really stepped it up. Like we talked about Jaylen Brown, where he's gotten to. Well, Otto hasn't done that in games 1 and 2. So, I feel bad. I'm watching Scotty. I'm sitting across watching him, and I'm saying, man, these guys had good years. Look at the numbers they had in the regular season. They're invisible in these first 2 games. I mean, this is when you're supposed to step up and show what you're capable of, the way Jaylen Brown's doing it, the way Terry Rozier's doing it in Boston.
PJ, I look at Cleveland against Indiana, and here's what stands out in my mind about this series. Victor Oladipo shooting 54% from the field, or 57%, one or the other.
Yep.
You've got Miles Turner shooting 62% from the field. Even though Thaddeus Young is only averaging 7.5 points a game, he's shooting 70% from the field. I'm looking at these guys, and I'm saying to myself, what the hell is going on? You got to defend Cleveland, and that seems to me to be the biggest issue. I know other guys haven't stepped up, and Kevin Love's not 100%, and we get all of that. But what's really alarming to me is the inability for them to really step up defensively. What about you?
Couldn't agree with you more. Adam Amin and I did the game for radio Wednesday night. They had almost 70 points in the paint. The shots that Indiana was getting were incredible. They were getting layups. They were getting pick-and-roll layups. They were driving to the basket from outside the three-point line. I'm going like, how many points in the paint can you get in one game? LeBron had to play out of his mind for them to win the game. And I'm saying, I keep looking. And with all that, Victor missed a shot. He missed an open 3 with about 20 seconds to go where Kyle Korver and JR got messed up on their pick-and-roll coverage. Victor was bare. I'm sure he couldn't believe how open he was and missed a 3 that would have tied the game up after they trailed by 23 and got blitzed early by LeBron. I'm major concerned. If Kevin Love, if that hand is bothered, first of all, he's got to play. I love Kevin Love, but he's got to play way better offensively than he played in the first 2 games. But if his hand is bad, they're in trouble.
I think if his hand's bad, PJ,
I just don't think they're ready for it.
If his hand's not ready, PJ,
we always say, Stephen, if they're close, LeBron's going to get them over. I agree. But, I mean, if it takes LeBron to get 46 points for them to be close so they can win the game, you can't defend the way they're not defending right now.
It's looking like Toronto or Philadelphia might be coming out of the East instead of LeBron in the Eastern Conference with Cleveland. We're talking to PJ Carlesimo right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Let's transition to the Western Conference, Coach. The biggest shock to me is what's happening to the Blazers. I mean, the Pelicans are running them out of the building. It is unreal what I am seeing take place before my very eyes. Drew Holiday's got Damian Lillard under lock and key. I never thought I'd see that. And right now, Anthony Davis has just validated his superstar status. He is the real deal. How shocked are you by what you're seeing in this series between the Pelicans and the Blazers?
twice as shocked as you are, and more so from the Portland standpoint, not New Orleans. Alvin Gentry's done a great job. This team has played better. I don't think by accident. Anthony AD had a quote the other day like, hey, if we had DeMarcus, we could win the whole thing. I think in a strange way, they may be better without DeMarcus the way they're playing right now.
I agree with that.
I love him. I love his stats and what he does. But I'll tell you what, this team is playing right now, really impressive. But I was so impressed all year with Portland. I kept saying, no one's talking about these guys. No, they're not as good as Houston or Golden State, but they're the clear-cut third-best team in a really tough Western Conference. They distance themselves from all the other teams. I said, man, these guys are third. They're going to be a tough out in the playoffs. They're getting smoked, and I can't believe it. I don't understand it. I'm completely shocked.
And it's not
by
coaching.
How well New Orleans is playing.
And it's not coaching. This is not. Usually, you could a combination. I can see some things that Bradley Beal could do better. To Scott Brooks doing better in Washington, in Portland. It has nothing to do with Terry Stotts. This is on the players right here because when Drew Holiday gets up in the mug of your star and he's shooting 32% from the field, you can try things schematically. You can do whatever you want to do. It comes down to the player in that particular situation, PJ.
I'm with you, and I'm baffled because some of these guys perform so well in the regular season, and now I'm watching the games and like, Nurkic, come on, this is your chance to show, you are that good. Step up. It's playoff times. Some of these games, Pat Connaughton's doing more stuff than these guys. Yeah. Eddie Davis had a great year on the boards and everything in the regular season. New Orleans is toying with them.
Yes. Absolutely touring with them. You're absolutely right, PJ. Let's transition to the next series. Donovan Mitchell, Utah, against OKC. Listen, Donovan Mitchell, believe it or not, as great as Ben Simmons is, and I certainly would pick Ben Simmons over him any day of the week, Donovan Mitchell is still my rookie of the year because he was in the Western Conference, had more of a responsibility. He was your number one option as a rookie, etc. But that's just me. When I look at this series, however, fourth quarter, Westbrook, Melo, Paul George combined to go 0 for 14. What's that about, PJ?
Can't happen. It's impossible. They've baffled me all year. I've had them as much as I've had any team, Steven, and I've had them games like we're at home on a Sunday afternoon, the Lakers came in and handled them, and I've had other games where they play so well, they're so impressive, they share the ball. I'm going, how do you defend these guys? Melo's making his shots. Paul George playing out of his mind like he did in game one. And Russell's taking good shots and not turning the ball over. And then you see them 2 games later, and you go, this is not the same team. I can't figure them out. I truly cannot. Quinn Snyder's done a great job in Utah. Utah's, that little edge in the can. They're predictable. You know what they're going to do. Since they got Gobert back, they're so much better defensively. I think Ingles is a vastly underrated player. And Donovan Mitchell, the same way, in my opinion, I missed big time on Jaylen Brown. Same thing about Donovan Mitchell. Had no idea he was this special a player.
What about Minnesota? What the hell is happening to them? Is Houston just that good? Or Karl Anthony Towns, 13 points in 2 games, 9 shots in each game, the activity, the lack thereof. Listen, I'm not calling him soft. I'm not disrespecting this kid. I know Karl Anthony Towns is a stud, but he's actually looked a bit soft in these first 2 games, PJ.
Yeah, I've been very disappointed. I love Karl Anthony Towns also. Really, really disappointed with the way he's played. It's a horrible matchup. You and I talk about this every year at playoff time. There are teams that don't play well against particular teams. Sometimes they're both really elite teams. This is not. Obviously, Houston is the best team in the Western Conference in the regular season, and Minnesota's not. Minnesota can't score. It's kind of what San Antonio's going through with Golden State right now. Both those teams are so good offensively that you can only slow them down so much. I think Minnesota and San Antonio are 2 of the best defensive teams in the whole league, so they can make those guys work a little bit and slow them down some. They can't score enough points. They cannot score enough points to beat that team. And in Minnesota's case, they just don't shoot the ball very well. Karl Anthony, I thought, would be a real factor in this series. I thought he would play, and maybe he will when they get back home. But they have looked, badly outclassed. But I do think this is a horrible matchup for them.
Let's transition out. Clearly, in terms of scoring points, the Golden State Warriors don't particularly have that problem. But I think right now it's still a point where a piece of paper can get these guys injured. A scratch can get them injured. They look so fragile right now. I'm very concerned about them. Kevin Durant, Sean Livingston, Steph Curry, a bunch of skinny dudes that everybody's saying, you know what, let's just get physical with them and it won't be a problem. How concerned are you about the Warriors real quick?
I'm concerned only from the standpoint of when Steph Curry can come back and can he get enough reps? Because, you don't practice this time of the year. Yeah. They need to get him back and playing some games. And they can't rush it. He's got to be right. But I think if they get him back and playing games and, they get back to hitting on all cylinders, I still think they're the team that's going to win the whole thing. But I'll tell you what, I'm concerned if I'm Steve Kerr because I think they need all their weapons, and I agree with you 100%. They need to be healthy.
PJ Carlesimo, before I let you get on out of here, on a separate note, you're a person that won a championship as an assistant coach on this man's bench. You go back a very, very long ways with the great Greg Popovich. We obviously all heard the news, and our hearts ache for him, the loss of his wife, Erin, who I'm sure you have known. I want to just get your thoughts about how you felt when you heard the news, and tell us a little something about Greg Popovich with his lovely, lovely wife, Erin.
Well, just horrible. I mean, she had been very sick. I mean, very, very sick. I was down there during the Final Four doing some radio of college and did 2 Spurs games, maybe the 2 best they played all year. They beat OKC and Houston back-to-back and really looked good and played well. But Erin was in tough shape. I didn't know it was this bad. I mean, she's just such a great lady behind the scenes, means so much. I knew it was going to be so hard for Manu Ginobili last night. Just a horrible, horrible situation. As you well know, Erin's father was the trainer, the longtime trainer at the Air Force Academy. Pop and Erin go back to his days at the academy, and just a great couple. Like Pop, better person, just like a world-class person. And, obviously for anybody to deal with that, but at this time, just a disaster. And I'm thankful for. I'm going there. I fly to San Antonio tomorrow. I've got Game 4, Golden State, San Antonio Sunday afternoon. So I'm real happy to be able to go there and spend a little time. But what a horrible situation.
I appreciate that, PJ Carlesimo. Thank you so much. Continue the great work, and we'll talk soon. And when you see Pop, please give him my best. Tell him
I will, partner. Thank you very much, Stephen.
Thank you so much. One and only PJ Carlesimo, assistant coach on the San Antonio Spurs squad from 2002 to 2007. Very close with Greg Popovich as well. He's live right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Every time just thinking about it, my heart aches for Greg Popovich right now, to be married to someone for over 4 decades and to come home one day and they're no longer there. I just can't imagine what he's going through right now. My heart really aches for him. There's really nothing else that we could say. Really isn't.
Everyone in the neighborhood knew about Bobby. Bobby, the basketball boy, they called him. Bobby wanted to go pro someday, so he was always out in the driveway shooting hoops. But one day, his mom came out and told him,
"Hey, your wife wants you to take out the trash."
His mom was visiting, and Bobby was a grown man. He had kind of missed his window. Plus, no one had ever seen him actually make a basket. But on the other hand, Bobby had heard how Geico could save him money on car insurance, so he switched and saved. So it was all good.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Before I forget, I promised that I would talk about Dez Bryant for a second because he put posted an Instagram video where he's seen working out with Odell Beckham Jr. Dez Bryant has no business to even be thinking about going to the New York Giants. And here's why. Dez Bryant ain't going to be number 1 in New York. That's going to be Odell Beckham Jr. Number 2, the likelihood is the Giants don't have 10 to 12 million to give him. Number 3, even though Eli's a 2-time champion and certainly not as bad as last season would indicate, he ain't the 2-time Super Bowl champion either. You want to sit up there as a wide receiver and be made to look good. There's only one place for Dez Bryant to go. To Green Bay with that bad man. That's where you go if you're Dez Bryant. A guy in Aaron Rodgers that gets it to you even when you ain't open. who makes you look good every day. That's who you go to. They lost Jordy Nelson. Still got Devontae Adams, Randall Cobb. That's where you go, Dez Bryant. That's where you go. New York doesn't need Dez Bryant. Yeah, they let go of Brandon Marshall. They got Sterling Shepard. They got Odell Beckham Jr. They're probably going to draft Saquon Barkley. I mean, how many, what do you think they'll have room for you? No, that's not the way to go, Dez Bryant. That is not the way to go. I'll leave it at that. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's the number to call up. Lindsay, New Orleans, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Stephen A., what's up? I've been rocking with you since quite frankly.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate the love. Go ahead.
All right, quick question. So I know you're not really feeling Boogie with AD, but just say somehow Dale Demps can pull it off where we can keep Nico Mirotic, keep Rondo, and keep DeMarcus Cousins. What kind of effect can we have? Where can we make noise in the West next year?
With or without Boogie?
Boogie. If we can keep Boogie and find a way to keep Nico because we owe him that 12, and then Boogie's going to get a max contract.
I think you can get to the second round. I think you can get to the second round, but I think ultimately your best shot is with the horses you have now, playing the style of play that you're playing right now.
Okay.
That's one of the interesting style of play matters. You can't underestimate the importance of that. It's one of the biggest reasons a guy, like Michael Jordan and Mitch Kupchak in Charlotte, they're interested in the style of play because they recognize that they gotta speed up the pace. They gotta play a different brand of basketball than they've played. It's one of the reasons why the Rockets are so successful. The Rockets weren't like this when they had Dwight Howard in the middle. He can't run the floor like Clint Capella. Okay, not after his back injury, but with Clint Capella running the floor the way that he does, look at the Rockets. They were 41-3 in the regular season when Clint Capella was on the court with James Harden and Chris Paul.
Oh, okay.
That's what you're looking for.
One quick question.
Go ahead.
One more thing. NFL schedule just came out. Where you got my Saints ended up next year?
I haven't looked at the schedule yet, but I would tell you that I look at the Saints. I have them winning the South and getting back to an NFC Championship game.
Okay, I can do it there. Appreciate the call, Stephen.
Thanks a lot, man. No problem. Let's go to Mixon in the Bronx. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Mixon?
Hey, what's up? What's up, buddy? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Go ahead.
What the hell is wrong with this guy, Jim Dolan? Why, even if the case is that he might be out all next season, why the hell would he come out and say Porzingis is going to be out all season?
I have no clue.
What motive does he have other than to deter the coach, a coach that wants to come here and possible free agents? This guy needs to go. He is
well, stop
atrocious.
right there. Stop right there. That's true, but come on now. We can't get rid of owners. You know, unless he pulls a Donald Sterling, you can't get rid of him.
I mean, but why can't he leave it up to Perry and Mills to make that announcement? Why does he have to open his mouth?
You know, Mixon, we know he was wrong, but it's done. Now what you going to do?
Well, next season is going to be a wash, so I don't even know why Mark Jackson or anybody else would want to come.
Listen, I talked about them. I talked about wanting them for the job. I never said they should want the job. You never heard me say that.
No.
Even though in Mark Jackson's case, I think he should want the job because it's only a second interview since he lost the job in Golden State. One could argue he was blacklisted at some point. And then not only that, you know, again, to get back in the game and to be in your market, your hometown, it could matter. So that much is true.
Well, we're going to end up being a lottery team next year anyway, so.
Right. Okay. I appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much. Let's go to Chris in Atlanta. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Chris.
Hey, Stephen A. How you doing?
I'm all right. Go ahead.
So I got a question about the playoffs. If I'm not mistaken, don't the highest remaining seed play the lowest remaining seed in the playoffs?
I don't know. No. That's not the way it works. You know, you have the seedings before the postseason. Like, for example, Houston plays the winner of OKC Utah.
Really?
Golden State plays the winner of Portland, New Orleans.
Okay, I thought it was going to be the number one seed going to play the sixth seed, in this case, New Orleans.
No. They start that off at the beginning, but then after that, the layout is pretty much what it is. All right?
Cool. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate the call. No problem. Let's go to Vidal in Texas, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
How you doing, Stephen A?
Talk to me.
All right, I had a quick question about the New York Knicks coaching search. I haven't heard Jason Kidd name much out there in the headlines, but I know you do have a nice relationship with Scott Perry, and also he was on that team who won 54 games. So I was wondering how you see a fit in the Knicks job this season.
I can't see that happening because he coached in Brooklyn, and then he left unceremoniously and skipped and took the job in Milwaukee. A matter of fact, it was said that things had better work out in Milwaukee because of how things were handled when he was in Brooklyn and how he departed from Milwaukee, that very few teams were going to be interested in hiring him if he lost that job. So I don't think New York's a possibility.
All right. Do you see him progressing Kristaps Porzingis anyway, or
excuse me?
If he was in that position, do you think he would be like helpful to Kristaps Porzingis' progression?
I think so. I think all of them will be a help to Porzingis' progression because they know he's the franchise player for them, whoever arrives in New York. That's not a secret to anybody. All right?
Gotcha. Appreciate taking the call.
Take it easy. No problem.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
One of the things I want to say before I get to the phones, one of the other things is Baker Mayfield. Supposedly it's a lock that he's going to end up as the number 3 overall pick of the New York Jets. Let me say this. There are people that might be down on him. He might be a bit too eccentric. He might be a little bit too out there. He reminds people of Johnny Manziel, whatever the case would be. That's unfair to that guy. Baker Mayfield won as a prep player in high school. He's been to 2 national semifinal appearances. This dude is a runner-up for the finalists 2 years in a row before winning a Heisman last year. The dude went 40 consecutive games with a touchdown pass, threw 200 straight passes without an interception, setting an OU record. Baker Mayfield's a winner. Listen, I get nervous about him because of his height, but I ain't worried about anything else. And the fact that he's in New York and he likes to live, and do it up both on and off the field, I get all of that. But I will say this. That might put more pressure on him, and he may perform well because of it. He might respond to that kind of challenge. Something worth considering. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's the number to call up. Let's go to Joe in Jersey. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hi, Steve. You said on First Take today that if Dez, I'm a huge Packers fan, and I know you love Aaron Rodgers, so that always makes me happy. But I know on First Take you said that Dez should go to the Packers because someone like Aaron Rodgers throwing to him would make him look better and kind of resurrect the last 2 years that he's been playing with Dak Prescott. But he said that he doesn't want to go because of the history with the drop catch. And also, I know the Packers, just being a fan, kind of don't like to pick up play.
Let them offer him the right amount of money, and let's see what his position is then.
Yeah, I think we can. I think because we do have the cap space, and we want to replace Jordy. But also, I know the Packers don't really like to sign players that kind of come with drama. They like to bring in the players that kind of have the good personality types, even though they took a chance with Charles Woodson. It was an amazing signing by us. But
all right, I got it. The bottom line is that I want Dez with Aaron Rodgers. I think that's better for him than being with Eli Manning, period. But I'll talk to you later. Thanks for the call. Let's go to Mario in Sacramento. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, Stephen A. I'm a big Warriors fan, and I'm a little concerned with the forecast. I was wanting to see your question. My question is about New Orleans. If they get past them, what's your take on them getting through Houston?
Who getting through Houston?
New Orleans.
If they get past the Warriors?
Yeah.
They'll lose to Houston.
That piece of paper you was talking about, I don't want them to land on my boys.
Yeah. No, that's not going to land on your boys. Houston's balling. You're going to have to beat Houston. They ain't going to beat themselves. The wrong stuff ain't going to get in their way. They're going to ball. That's what they're going to do. That's what I believe about them, personally. That's how I feel about it. Appreciate the call, Lo. Thank you so much. Stephon in Atlanta, you're live with Stephen A. What's up, Steph?
What's good, Stephen A?
Talk to me, man.
Hey, man. I'm telling you, I'm trying to figure out why nobody giving the Pacers no respect, brother.
Well, you give him respect. I mean, listen, we talked about Oladipo, his star. He's a star. He's arrived. Miles Turner is shooting 62% from the field. They've been competitive in both games. I expect them to split this series this weekend and it be tied 2-2 as of Monday. What else do you want?
I mean, I can see them taking it all the way.
The championship?
No, not championship. Just getting past Cleveland.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I thought I was getting ready to hang up on you. I thought you was talking about the Pacers winning the championship. I was getting ready to hang up on you and strip you of your basketball card for the rest of the week. That's what I was getting ready to do. But I understand. Yeah, they got a shot to win this series because Cleveland's defense stinks, and they got to get that together. But I'm still picking LeBron because he's LeBron. Appreciate the call. Let's go to Mark in New York. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Mark?
Yeah, hi, Stephen A. Just wanted to ask you about your thoughts. You were talking about tanking earlier, Philadelphia. I personally think that tanking is like the equivalent of steroids in baseball in the 80s. It's just not right. It shouldn't be done. Have you ever heard of the wheel system? And would you be interested in doing something like that?
What is the wheel system? What do you mean the wheel system? Explain that one.
The wheel, real quick, the wheel system is like it was devised. It's an actual system that was devised where 1 year you draft like 19th, the next year you draft 27th. It's a random thing where every team within the 30 years or so drafts in every single position. It's actually out there, but
I got to think about that. I got to think about that a little bit more. I'm not sure about that. I know I don't like the system the way it is. I can tell you that, but I got to think about that before I answer that question. But I appreciate the call, man. Thank you. Ed in Idaho, you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead, real quick, Ed.
Yeah, hey, Stephen A., I love your show. I got a question here. You take Ben Simmons off of Philadelphia, move him to Utah, put Donovan Mitchell in Philadelphia. Could Ben Simmons take Utah into the playoffs, thanks?
Possibly so, but I don't think that's the way to look at it. I think you got to go by the personnel they have. For me, my case for Donovan Mitchell is the fact that he's in the Western Conference. He's the number one option as a rookie, and he propelled them to 48 wins within the Western Conference. That's why I'm a supporter of him. He's not better than Ben Simmons. He's not the superstar that Ben Simmons is going to be, but he is a stud in his own right. He deserves a lot of credit for the year that he had. And unlike Ben Simmons, he didn't have Joel Embiid and all those shooters at his disposal. So that's why I would give the Rookie of the Year honors to Donovan Mitchell instead of Ben Simmons. But I got to get on out of here. I got to cover these games this weekend. I'm going to enjoy all of them. And I hope y'all do the same. NBA playoff action is in full effect. I'll holler about y'all with it on Monday. Peace and love.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.